What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson, today joined by my co-host, Collin Alcaves, and today we're going to be breaking down last night's matchup, the New York Rangers versus the Dallas Stars. It didn't go the way Rangers fans wanted it to. The Rangers were on an 11-game point streak, 10-0-1 in their last 11 games, had not lost a single game in regulation since early October against the Nashville Predators, but that has changed. The Rangers' reign of terror isn't over, but it's on a brief hiatus for a day or two until we're back in the saddle tomorrow night. But Collin and I really just want to break down last night's game, talk about the few things that went right, a lot of things that went wrong, and how the Rangers can be better in tomorrow night's game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So we're going to get right into that. But before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a notification. If you're watching us on Apple or Spotify, be sure to give us a 5-star review, and be sure to leave your thoughts on last night's game down in the comment section below. But before we really get into things, Collin, how are you doing today, and what were your thoughts on the game?
I'm good. I wish I had more positive things to say. It was a rough one. We started off strong against a good team. I mean, Dallas is another top 5 team in the league, and it was a real test for them. And obviously you're not going to win every game, but it's tough to watch them fold a game like that and give away a 2-0 lead. But we'll dive deeper into that as the video goes on.
Of course, and you're right. It was a very frustrating game. The Rangers did blow a 2-0 lead and then gave up 6 goals straight, but I think the negative takeaways from the game are really going to be the bigger meat of this episode. So let's start off on a high note, talk about the few things that did go right. And one of them is just the fact that Kaapo Kakko, he scored a goal. He was on like a 10-game point drought or something along those lines. There's a lot of games since he last recorded a point, but he did find the back of the net last night, scored the second of the Rangers goals, the only even strength one that they did score last night. So Collin, just that Kakko goal, break it down, thoughts on the play, because I know you looking at the recap, it kind of looks like he didn't even mean to shoot it, but at the end of the day, a goal is a goal. So thoughts on the goal and how does it help his confidence moving forward?
Well, it's a bit of a broken play. He takes a puck from behind the net, circling back behind. He looks to pass it out in front, and it just bounces off a defender's stick and right over Wedgewood's shoulder. We'll take those. We always talk about the bad puck luck that he gets, but in this instance, it's some good puck luck. And hopefully, he can carry some of that confidence over. Not really a ton of it is confidence, because I think even he knows that that was a very lucky play. But, if it sparks and whatever works. If he can get going, that would be great, because we'd love to get some secondary scoring from that third, or some tertiary scoring from that third line.
You're absolutely right. And I will say that Kakko's goal did come with the first ever New York Ranger point from Nick Bonino, the lesser known bald player on the New York Rangers. So just looking at that bottom six, they're starting to contribute. Kakko on the third line, Bonino also currently on the third line with all the injuries that are going on. But just as a whole, what were your thoughts on that third line? Cooley had a decent game. I know he found himself in the penalty box once or twice. Kakko scored, Bonino finally on the score sheet. So we know that Hedl is injured. He's going to come back at some point, even if it's not for a while. But the Lions are going to be ending up changed around. So just are you feeling good about this third line, or do you think they just had a decent game?
I'm feeling good. I think in past games, not just this one, that they've generated good offense and that the defense is there. I think they struggled a little bit in this game, but you're not going to be perfect night in and night out, and so they're allowed to have a little bit of a down night. I know there was a little bit of a defensive breakdown in a later goal that I'll get to. But I'm not going to say that this loss was on them. I think they played well. I think it was just a rough night for the team as a whole. But frankly, I love our bottom six. I mean, Jimbo, VC, VC, if you will, Himothy. He scored 2 goals against our little brother, the Devils. So you love to see the contributions. Wheeler, who was a third line, and now he's back on the first line. But he's contributing. So you're getting contributions all throughout, and it's great to see. And you need that in a team if you want to make a deep run. So it's good to see those bottom 6 guys chipping in.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. And the last thing of the good portion of this episode that I want to discuss is someone who was in the bottom 6 that is now up in the top 6. Vincent Trocheck was the third line center. After Filip Chytil got injured with his concussion, Trocheck has been up on that second line, playing with Panarin and playing with Lafreniere, and it kind of seems like that second line hasn't missed a beat. Sure, Panarin's point streak did come to a close last night, but Trocheck helped him extend it as long as he did, and Trocheck himself had a goal last night. In his last 10 games, no, his last 5 games, Trocheck does have 10 points. So Trocheck has been playing out of his mind. I think he's extremely underrated on this Rangers team that is filled with as much star power as it is. So my question for you, Collin, me and Anthony did make a whole episode dedicated to this, but you weren't there for it. When Hedel does come back, and if Trocheck is still playing as hot as he is, do you keep Trocheck on that second line and demote Hedel, or do you let Hedel reclaim his position?
It's tough, but I think you got to keep them there based on the circumstance. Obviously, you want to get the kids in the top 6, but you can't force it. And if something's working, you don't mess it up. You know what I mean? Trocheck is playing some of the best hockey he has as a New York Ranger. He's fit into that second line seamlessly. And you're right, they haven't missed a beat. Lafreniere's still humming, and they all complement each other well. I mean, Trocheck's goal led to a good break, a sick pass across to Panarin. Panarin ended up missing the net, actually. And then Trocheck follows it up and gets on a wraparound. It's just a good follow-up play, following a great heads-up play and a good pass, leading to a high-quality scoring chance. Excuse me. So, I'm not changing anything with that line. That line has been perfect, sadly, since Hedel left. Obviously we want him back, but I'm happy that they haven't really missed a beat. If anything, they've actually, taken another step, which I didn't think was possible. If they start to falter, maybe I consider putting Hedel back. But right now, I'm not touching that line. They're our best line night in and night out.
I am in agreement with you that the line does not need to be touched. I was in agreement with you all the way back when me and Tony did record that episode, and my opinion has been further proved even now, just because Trocheck has just continued to succeed, and that second line has just been, I think, the number one best line on the Rangers throughout the most recent stretch of games. And sure, the point streak is over, but it's not that second line's fault. Pretty much the entire team collapsed last night. So that is kind of the part that I want to get into now, just the negatives, what went wrong, and what the Rangers can do to fix this. And I think the first thing I do want to discuss is the simple one, the one that isn't the end of the world. It's just Artemi Panarin. After going on a 15-game point streak, it came to an end last night. He broke the record, but couldn't extend it even further. You look at Panarin, I think he didn't have a bad game. I think just watching him play, he didn't take enough shots by far. It kind of seemed like he was holding back a lot, kind of reverted back to the old player that he was, always looking for a pass. And when he did shoot the puck, not often did it hit the net. There were a couple times, especially in the last few minutes, when the Rangers had those power play opportunities to maybe make a push to tie the game. Panarin was just holding onto the puck and on the side of the ice for like a minute. It was just like rotating and skating in circles. And then eventually he finally just ripped it on net and missed wide. So that was very frustrating to watch, just especially because we've seen what Panarin can do when he's on his A game so far this season. And last night, it was just not it. Again, I don't think he played bad, but it was nowhere close to what he's been at this season. And sure, everyone's going to have bad games. Even Wayne Gretzky had a couple bad games throughout his career, I'm sure. But I don't know. I'm not going to blame the loss on Panarin, but I definitely think that had he played better, the Rangers' chance of winning would have also been better. So what were your thoughts on Panarin individually?
I think he tried to do a little bit too much. I think you're right in saying that, it was a little bit of a shade of last year. I think that he just needs to stick to the simplified game of, north-south game, pucks on net, not trying to make the extra pass or do too much. I think he was skating well. I don't think he was like a liability in our own zone at all. I think otherwise, he was good. He's just got to hit that net. Maybe not hold on to it as long. But, like you said, everybody's going to have their bad games, and it happens. It's a part of the business, and, you move on to the next one.
Yeah, and I do want to just talk about two other forwards who kind of disappointed me in last night's game, and they've been disappointing me a little bit. It's Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider. Both of them have struggled immensely at 5v5 this season. Again, me and Anthony did make another video. I think, was it Will was with me when we talked about Mika Zibanejad and his offensive struggles at even strength. And, it kind of showed again last night. Zibanejad once again remains scoreless. Chris Kreider did record an assist on the Trocheck goal, but it was on the power play. And it kind of just seems like at even strength, like the whole team, but like specifically Kreider and Zibanejad, they just can't seem to find a way to find the back of the net at even strength. And I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if you have any ideas, Collin, but something needs to change. But just break down your thoughts on Kreider and Zibanejad. Like, obviously, we're not going to hate on them because they are producing points. It's just only on the power play.
Also, I wish I had some ideas. I think Laviolette is thinking the same thing currently. They're just both getting off to slower starts in terms of 5-on-5 production. But like I said, like we said in that video, the points will start to come. I'm not too worried. It's a little frustrating right now because I feel like, and I think most Rangers fans will agree that second line has really been our first line. Like you can make the argument that they've been the 1A and Mika, Kreider, and Kako or Wheeler, whoever's on that line, is 1B or 2. Like we're used to having those two really good lines. It's been like one has been leaps and bounds better, and the other one has been there. And yeah, they're contributing on the power play, and you love to see it. But you want to see them round out their game as a whole. So hopefully they can get that going down the line. I don't really have an answer for what they could do differently. Maybe put Kreider in front of the net a little bit more when you set up in the zone and see if you can get some more deflections on, and maybe I don't know. They got some things to work on. I think they're aware of that, and I think they just got to get in the lab and get to it.
Yeah, and I know when we talk about Zibanejad and his slow start, like we broke it down in our other episode, how we say like this is kind of like normal for Zibanejad, where he always starts off a little slow and then picks it up later on. But so I can't find it right now. There was a social media post I saw earlier that completely disproved that, where it's like so far this season, Zibanejad only has 1 goal at even strength, and in his last, like pretty much his entire tenure with the Rangers, the only season where he had similar numbers was the shortened COVID year. Every other season throughout his first 16 games, he was having like 6 or 7 even strength goals. So yeah, we can say that he usually starts off a bit slow, but it's never this bad at even strength. It's usually just as a whole. But it's like I don't know what the issue is, but I'm ready to just move on to the defense. Not going to call out anyone specific here because every defensive player needs to be held accountable for last night. We started off very good, 2-0 lead. The Rangers were rocking. I was like, my $20 bet on the money line that I placed last night's going to hit. And then next thing you know, it's 6-2. So, Collin, I know you have some notes here about all the goals that Dallas scored. Just break them down for me and just let the fans know how bad they were.
So you're a little bit kinder than I am. I am going to call out specific players because I was not pleased with certain plays. I'm going to call out Miller on that first one in the offensive zone. The pass is a little bit behind him. Yes, he's got to stop on that. He tries to receive it and bring it between his legs, ends up losing it 3-on-1 the other way. Last guy's left helpless. Jamie Benn puts it in. There's no chance for neither the defenseman nor the goalie. There's literally nothing that anybody could do. Miller's got to simplify it. It's the same thing I said with Panarin. Simplify the game. It doesn't got to be cute. It doesn't got to be fancy. Obviously, that pass needs to be a little bit better. And I don't remember who it was that actually passed it, but you got to stop on that puck and just maintain the zone and keep possession, because the second you give it up, it's a 3-on-1 the other way. 9 times out of 10, they're going to score that. So that's the first one. I don't know if you have anything on that you want to say, or if I should just keep going.
Just keep going, man. You're saying it all beautifully.
Second one, I'm actually going to put on Chesty. Little bit of a broken play. This one was the one I was referencing before with the third line. Bonino was a little bit off. You got 3 guys battling along the boards. Don't necessarily love that. There should only be 2, and the defenseman off and covering a little bit more ground. Pass gets out, and there's just an absolute hammer of a shot, and the rebound control just wasn't there. Kicks right out to Pavelski, who slams it into an empty net. Obviously, it's not entirely Shesterkin's fault. Incredibly difficult goal to save, let alone control the rebound. But it was a juicy one. He kicked it right back out to the far dot, and it was an easy routine goal for Pavelski. So that ties it. A bad penalty by Barclay Goodrow. Yet again, all this guy does is take penalties. I get he scored a goal last night in garbage time. Whoop-de-doo. He takes bad penalties and he eats cap, and that's what he does. I can't stand this guy. I want him off the team. I haven't liked him for a little bit. He was really good his first year because of injuries and stuff. He was playing with Panarin. His points were a little bit accelerated because of it, and he wasn't an absolute liability. I feel like he's just fallen off the rails, but I'll digress. That penalty is annoying, and it leads to a power play goal, but it's one that Chesty should have saved. The original shot hits him, drops down, and it's there in front of him. Marchment just smacks it through his legs. It's similar to the goal that we saw the other night against the Devils. And I get he's fresh off an injury. He'll bounce back. But it's frustrating to see that's back-to-back games where there's been a puck that he's like supposed to have that just squeaks through him somehow. So hopefully he can button that up. But again, power play. So like I'm not going to put it on entirely him. He should have it, but we shouldn't have been down a man. So, and then the fourth goal, I don't even know who to blame except for everybody on the ice. Everybody played it poorly. I mean, Chesty made a good play. He made a good poke, but after that, I mean, it's just the way I literally in the notes what I have here is there's an absolute shit show in front of the net. Bodies everywhere, pucks everywhere. It just slides right under him as slow as could be. And it's not even, there's nothing you can do about it because he's already sprawled out after playing defense because the defensemen weren't. Just an absolute broken play. And it leads to a goal that was basically an empty netter because Shesterkin was already down and there was no way he could get to it. And then, two empty netters, another defenseman I'll call out, Gustafsson. We're playing with the net empty, trying to, crawl back into this game. We're down by 2 now. And he decides that, a good play to do is to pass it between his legs backwards. With the thought process there, I won't understand it. I can't understand it. And it leads to an easy goal for the Stars and then just another one, empty netters are empty netters, but still, you don't want to see your defenseman getting careless with it on the blue line, similar to the Miller goal. And then Goudreau finally bangs in the garbage time goal off a slap shot from Trouba. It was deflected in front. But, too little, too late. I think that the defenseman really took the night off. It was tough to watch. I think we started off fantastic. I think the first period was great. And I think Ben scored. And I think after that, we all kind of they just took a backseat and watched. And Chesty was left out to dry on a couple of them. So, it's tough to see. But there was a quote from Kreider I saw at the end of the game where they're all just kind of self-analyzing their own games, and nobody was happy with it. And so that's good that they're all already taking accountability, and they all recognize that nobody really played well. And hopefully, they'll bounce back against the Pittsburgh Penguins on Wednesday.
Yeah, that was an absolutely beautiful breakdown of all the goals scored. I obviously don't want to just repeat anything that you were saying, but I do just want to reiterate the fact that Gustafsson play probably was the most infuriating thing I've seen happen to the Rangers so far this season when we have an empty net and he decides to become like Pavel Datsyuk, between the legs, no look, like, I don't know. I'm going to get angry if I break it down. So we're going to move forward. And this next thing I'm going to bring up, I don't want a whole conversation about it because we're not conspiracy theorists here at Fireside Rangers, but I do just want to point out that of the 12 times the Rangers have gone to video review on goals so far this season, only twice has it gone the Rangers' way. So I'm not going to blame anything here, but you catch my drift.
I see. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I see it.
Yeah, something's going on, but we kind of went over what went right, the few things that they were, and the major problems that went wrong. But the last thing I do want to just touch upon is the Rangers have tonight off, but they're right back in action tomorrow night against Pittsburgh, going up against a new team, still on the road. Momentum has kind of been shaken a little bit. I don't want to say lost because it's only one loss. The Rangers are still like 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. So the Rangers are still pretty hot, but obviously we do need to bounce back tomorrow night against Pittsburgh. So you look at what went right, like what needs to be emphasized there and what went wrong. How can we improve from it? Just break down your thoughts. Because I think for me, the biggest thing I need to see against Pittsburgh is just like a resurgence from the defense. Hopefully Laviolette had them working extra hard today during practice and they'll play a more disciplined, more careful, and more like strategic game rather than just whatever we saw last night. So I'm just going to say defense needs to be better. Collin, what are you looking for tomorrow night in order to get back in the win column?
I think it's got to be defense. I think obviously, you need Chesty to return to form. I think he's been good. I think he needs to be great for this Rangers team to be really good. I think Quick and Domingue did a good job, but I also think the defense helped them out a little bit more. And I think they tend to get a little bit lax when they know they have a Vezina caliber goalie in net. And I think that shouldn't be the case. I think they need to play lights out, night in, night out. I think that you look at this game and it's similar to the Nashville game where it just hit a point where it was like, what are we doing? What's going on? Why is it so frustrating? And why are we making things harder on ourselves than it needs to be? Like, just simplify the game. That is the key to winning this game specifically and many games going forward. Simplify it. They're trying to do too much again. And it's the same problem we had last year. Too many skill guys trying to do too much. Just do what's been working. Don't try and get cute with it. No need to do these between the legs, no looker. Like we're not in the All-Star game. We're in the regular season and you got to buckle down here. I think that we'll see a similar response because our last regulation loss was against Nashville on October 16th. So I think that you'll see hopefully a similar bounce back and a good get back game for a lot of the guys. But there's very very few things that from that game that I'd take and bring over. I think I'd throw that game out as a whole, and obviously 82 game season, we're 15 games in. I'm not, I'm not like super worried. I'm not actually worried at all. I don't even know why. I no reason to be worried, but I'm frustrated because this team knows, and I know that they're capable of playing a better game than what they put out last night, and I think that they're all aware of that. And I think that they're definitely grinding today, because nobody likes losing, and it was fun. We were there. It was fun. They were winning. They were having fun, and that's the fun is in the winning. And so I think that if they want to continue to have fun, they got to keep winning, obviously. And I think they'll bounce back and they'll whoop up on the Penguins tomorrow night in a big way, hopefully.
Of course, the Rangers, as good as they are, no team is going to win every single game of the season. It's best to just kind of take this game, get some valuable lessons from it, and then kind of just forget about it. Let's keep winning. Like you said, walk into Pittsburgh and walk out with another win. So we'll be sure to cover tomorrow night's game. I know me and Anthony do have a video planned for tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. It's about the kids, I'll tell you that. Spoiler alert. But until next time, be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a notification. Be sure to leave your thoughts on last night's game down in the comment section below, as well as your thoughts on tomorrow night's game against the Pittsburgh Penguins and what you'll be looking for. If you're watching on Apple or Spotify, be sure to give us a 5-star review, and be sure to follow all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers on both Instagram and X. And me and Anthony will be with you guys tomorrow. Have a good one, and
let's go Rangers.